evening, all my little yips, yaps, and nuts. It's Pixie here with you tonight, and we're going to talk about a game. Now, this is a game I didn't actually own as a kid, but I did borrow it quite a few times and rent it a few times, and I really enjoyed it, and eventually did buy a copy. Much later in life here, mind you. Well into my owning a Retron 5 era. So, this one, definitely tell it's not my original copy of by any means. It's Crystalis, the decorative initials someone put on the bottom of it. That's lovely. Yeah. Now I bought this definitely very used, and I'm not going to complain about the status. It's just a bit of Sharpie on the gray plastic part, so not a big deal. Anyway, this would be a RPG kind of adventure game, similar to like a Legend of Zelda or something like that. Very much in a lot of ways to Legend of Zelda, because you are more or less top down, kind of a slightly angled off top down, kind of like Link to the Past, but I mean it's a Nintendo era, not Super Nintendo, so just that angle of looking at the game. Not quite top down, but not quite sideways kind of thing. So it's got a good environment type situation going on. Good concept. You were stuck in kind of a time capsule, and you're extracted, and you're off to save the world stuff. Lots of semi-mechanic stuff, a lot of not mechanic stuff, a lot of swords and magic and things like that. So there's a lot going on here. Now, definitely reasons why this is very Legend of Zelda, because you have the sword and it shoots things. I know. Welcome to the NES era. Swords shoot things. That's just how life works. Here I thought guns shot, but nope, it's swords. Well, I'm not going to complain because I actually like this. Um, but it is very Legend of Zelda-y in the fact that you shoot a sword on a mostly top-down type situation. Bad guys. Now, some of the things I really liked about this game is the fact that it's a charged shot, not a need to have full health shot. So if you can be patient for even a half second, you have a shot coming out of your sword, and that's pretty useful. And if you get more of the items for your current sword, I think there were 4 swords for the whole game that you had to collect, and then 2 items for each of them. It's been long enough, but I believe it was like a bracelet and an orb. If you had one of the items, you got a second charged up level, and if you got the third item, the second item, you got a third charged up level. So you had basic shot, which is usually just kind of like a straight shot, kind of very Zelda-esque. You got the second item, you got bigger thing. You got the third charge, you got a really big chaos shot coming out of you. So that is pretty awesome. If I remember right, this actually did have grindability, so you could level your character up, get more health and more strength in general. So good on that. And as you got further along, you would get more weaponry. Now, each area had one weapon to it. So you start in the first area. I think it's the wind sword you started with, and you get first the wind bracelet and the wind orb or whatever they were. And it's generally effective against all the bad guys around there. The the restrictions that this game had to be stuck to were Nintendo era graphics. And from what I read about it and what I've tried to piece together, the creators really wanted it to be a more colorful game, but they were limited by the hardware. So that's one thing I really wish this game could get a remake for, just for that, is just to get a better color palette, to actually have a color palette effectively. Um, because you were limited by how many colors you could have on the active sprites list at any given time on a map. So that's why your dude's just kind of purple. uh, uh, but you know, such is life. You go through different towns, talk to the people, find out the lore, what you need to do to get a key for a lighthouse or whatever, and then you go and battle a bad guy there, or go through a cave, or go through a maze or something. Uh, Overall, the game isn't super long. I think it was only like 4 or 5 main areas. Uh, After you do get some of the additional weapons, it does give you a reason why you might want to use, say, the wind sword instead of the fire sword or something like that. Uh, and the effects are different on each of the weapons. Pretty sure as you go down the chart from first sword you get to last sword you get, they do have a higher power level at the lower, the later acquired ones. But sometimes there is a different element that might work better against certain bad guys, so you may end up having to change your hardware around and go, oh, pull out the old sword and go, ready to go. Also, if I don't think you got all of the power-ups for any given weapon right away. You may have gotten some of the power-ups later on in the game, but you might have gotten the next weapon sooner, so maybe an excuse why you go back to the previous sword, because now you have the triple charge attack for it and extra power, so yeah, go for the weapon that actually works harder. Uh but yeah, it's a pretty good RPG sword shooty type game. Yes, your sword not in the shoot part will affect and hit bad guys, so you still have that no matter what. But come on, let's face it. The fun is making your sword shoot things. I mean, really. Uh, so, yeah, it's a pretty good game. If you're into top-down type RPGs like Zelda or whatnot, this probably hit up your alley. The little bit of technology type stuff here and there in like the environment and how things are actually working in the background does add a little cool effect to it. Kind of Final Fantasy 1 and 4-esque, where there was some mechanics, but they seemed like they were from a forgotten era and were kind of mashed into oldie time things. Like how airships, like it's a boat. Why do you have a boat? Why don't you just have like a box with the propellers? Nope, nope, we have a boat with propellers on it. Okay, we'll go with that. So that's a thing. Uh, it was definitely a ride. I enjoyed it then. I enjoyed it recently, not too long ago when I picked this copy up. I actually played through the whole game again because I was having fun again. It actually was the level of I still had fun with it. It was. It does definitely rank right up there with how good as like Zelda 1 was or Link to the Past was. Not quite the same experience. Not quite the same exact polished experience as Zelda. I mean, who made this one again? This was somebody made in Japan. SNK. SNK. They made some good stuff. So not quite as good as Zelda, but not bad. It's kind of like when you go and buy the off-brand Lego airplane because you built all of the brand name Lego airplanes you can get your hands on. You just wanted more airplane. This is me wanting more RPG. And I'm not disappointed. It's definitely a good flavor of game. And yeah, I highly recommend it. It's good stuff. Um, so you spot a used box somewhere and you go, yeah, that's a few bucks. I might enjoy myself. You probably will. Or, there's ROM files out there, but I don't condone that. I'm not going to endorse that. It's an option, but if you're using it as kind of a try to buy kind of situation, maybe. Check your eBays too. A lot of times we find this stuff pretty cheap. uh, Sometimes you don't though. Don't go trying to look for Metroid games. Woo! They will gouge you. Yeah. Doesn't matter how common the game was. I want 60 bucks for it. Sadness. Anyway, it's a good game. If you get a chance, do to it. So, definitely want to thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed me babbling about a game that you probably haven't heard of. It was a bit on the more obscure side. It wasn't exactly your, mainline Marios and Zeldas and whatnot. But it was definitely on my. I feel like it did shape my gaming childhood to some extent, and I felt it was worth getting again. Uh, yeah, if you could give the video a like, subscribe, and little dinkly bell, so it'll alert you when I post new videos about stupid games you probably don't even remember. uh, Also, if you could leave a comment, let me know if you had this game or you played this game at a friend's house or you rented it, or if you have any memory of it in existence, period. I'd really like to know. Sometimes it's one of those games that come one of those games you're like, does anybody but me even care this was a thing? I know the major Nintendo collectors, and they care, but what about your everybody else, your average Joe Yote that may have happened to have played games as a kid? I'm like, no. So yeah, that. And if you're so inclined, my Patreon link is in the description below. I appreciate every penny donated to me. Use it to help better my channel, and I have lots of fun plans out there for further videos. I have quite a few that are stuck in my head of what I want to do. I just only do so many in a day. uh, and I want to make them all good for you. And a little bonus, if you had never noticed, I have created playlists of several of my things. There's a Game Thoughts one, a Thoughts one, a Story Time, and a Full Suit videos. So if you just want to watch a bunch of any kind of videos I made, they're all listed in playlists. So click it, watch all the full suits you want, not have to worry about anything else, or you can hear about all the games I talked about here and it's all in a row, or my stories, or my general thoughts about stuff, depending on what you're in the mood for. So yeah, little thing I did for everybody. And so go to town, have a cute fluffathon, and watch all the stuff. Yep. Anyway, Pixie wants to thank you all again for watching and hopes you all have a lovely rest of your day. Bye-bye, cubs, kits, yotes, yips, and whatever else you happen to think you are today. Bye.